Greetings, Marv Gardens here reporting in for this Thursday day. How's everyone doing? And today I will be talking about pop culture. So yeah, awesome, cool, great. And what I'm going to be focusing on today is the phenomenon which is the pop, which is the idol, the pop idol, excuse me. And the reason why I decided to focus on that today because it's often amazing, not amazing, it's often interesting how we are able to draw parallels between, today and the older days because, you know, in the old days the idea of a celebrity may not have been what we may think of it as now. Usually it was either a king or a priest or a knight or somebody who was essentially, they inherited aristocracy. And I say inherited aristocracy in the sense that the rags to riches story that is so popular nowadays would not have been something plausible back in the day. People would have essentially been like, there's no way he went from nothing to something because you know you either worked for the king or you were the king. There was no middle to upper ground. You were either there or you weren't there. And in a certain respect, you could say that now, but it's a lot more reachable nowadays in the sense that business essentially opened up the doors for a middle class citizen or even a lower class citizen. I shouldn't say lower class, but for a essentially social or economic or both disadvantaged person to essentially get an advantage. And that is it's a magical thing really because in this day and age where no one really talks about myths anymore or believes in goblins or elves or witchcraft and stuff, and yet there is that common held theme of a superhero which is just as fictitious, and yet it still has a realistic place in the world. And not to blow a lot of smoke on celebrities and stuff and call them superheroes, but that is the closest synonym I can find for them because it is a summarization of support from society as well as renown. And I say support because saying that people praise people can, come off as incorrect as well. That's like going back to one of my earliest discussions about idolatry and stuff. That's why I say people don't praise them, they support them. And you can support a person in more than one way. What I most commonly notice is that there are a lot of people typically show their support for others by imitating them. And imitation, they say, is a form of flattery, but that's more of a very flattering thing to say. In other words, a more useful explanation would be that imitation is basically like saying you must be doing something right, because if you weren't, people wouldn't be imitating you, they would be discouraging you. And I feel like imitation is as good as it gets in a realistic adult thing, because um people are not going to support you like their children. They're not going to give you all the answers, tell you how to get the answers, and then help you get the answers. That's just unrealistic in an adult frame of mind. So it's when you finally do accomplish something that gets people's attention, it can definitely feel comforting. I would imagine that you reach the top of a mountain and somebody's waiting for you. Not to say that people who do reach the top of the mountain and don't have somebody waiting for them are any less privileged. Just saying that it can definitely be cool how company can bring more than misery. More moving on. It seems that in terms of the youth, pop culture has taken on a sort of stylistic approach, in the sense that a youth will often imitate someone who they view as a pop idol, in the form of saying, you know, this person interests me so much, I would, follow in their footsteps if I was given the opportunity. And you see that a lot of days too, even in different pop culture industries, whether it be fashion, whether it be TV, whether it be like movies, which is different from TV. I know it's hard to think that, but it is. But you know, I feel like people are they have their own ways of showing whether they are with you or whether they choose not to participate. Because in this particular example, saying that someone who doesn't support you is against you isn't really a helpful mentality, in the sense that you can't make it far trying to win other people's support if you're so quick to say that people who don't support you are basically dirt. And I feel like that's a maybe it's an inexperienced mentality, because in order to figure out what mentality works, you will have to reach the top and see how you feel at the end of the day. So I guess this is the point where I'm like, I have no knowledge to go with this. But I don't know. I'll leave that at that. Going back to the pop idol though, it can be often just as interesting to see to see who captures the public eye at different times when the spotlight is moving. And I feel like that's on purpose, but at the same time, you still need an interesting person at the end of the day. Once you've decided who's going to be the pop idol, and I feel like that plays a lot of pressure on people, because it goes from contributing to win some people's support, to trying to win people's support, so they can contribute. And that relationship is really important, I feel, because that's where a lot of people fail. You shouldn't be trying to win people's support to get them to contribute. You should be contributing to get some people's support. And what that means is your support will come from your effort versus how many people you know. Because you can know all the people in the world, but if your contribution is weak, then people's support is going to dissipate anyway. Nobody is going to, no one is going to, stick around for someone who is dependent on them. I feel like that is contradictory to the pop idol mentality. The pop idol mentality is supposed to focus on the idea that people depend on you. Because if they didn't, there would be no point in making you a pop idol. And this can also get to people's heads, the idea that they are so important that, their importance is the contribution. And that also, I feel like that's just a natural logical course that people in showbiz take. They contribute something significant. It gains attention. And then once they reach the climax of this contribution, they begin a sharp decline in the form of their I would say their impression to the supporters, because I feel like it's what you would call gracefully bowing out, because it's more embarrassing to make your supporters see that you are declining versus giving them a reason to make you decline. And even though I'm speaking from a spot that I'm not in myself, I feel like I kind of am, because most people judge being a celebrity as X amount of supporters, who knows you, who's aware of you. But I feel like support in general can make anybody a pop idol, even on a parental level, because I feel like parents are more likely to have a better relationship with their children if their children support their parents in terms of how they interact. But that's just me essentially patting people on the back. But going back to what I was talking about, I feel like once people support you, however some people support you, that just opens the door for you. That's like giving you the green light so that you may make sure that you don't hit the climax of your contribution too early. And I feel like that's the what you would call the beginning of the end, because most people don't know what to do once they reach the climax of their contributions. They tend to overdo it. They tend to underdo it in terms of trying to get that renew that climax. But the truth of the fact of the matter is that there is only one climax in true celebrity style. And that's like a reality. That's like a sober thought for showbiz, because people get. I feel like that's what happened to Michael Jackson. He had his climax a long time ago, right? And his decline, we all know, was very very controversial, very newsworthy. And you know, I feel like when he tried to make his comeback, I feel like the his own work was the death of him, in my opinion. When you feel like, when your supporters have done their part, but you don't feel like you've done your part to yourself, I feel like that's what really killed him. He felt like, wow, what has happened to me? And I feel like that's just a equalizer of showbiz, because most people can feel a certain type of way when they see a person being put on a pedestal that they may or may not have earned. You're not in a place to argue that. You just have to acknowledge that they are on a pedestal. And that it's the problem with being in high places is that you tend to be at risk of falling. That's just a general note of how this works. And I feel like that's just what makes the pop idol an interesting creature, because you can you can bask in their glory, you can hate on their glory, but at the end of the day, when their glory is up, that's their battles to face. They don't need additional people to either weigh in on it, or to give them advice on it, or just all this other stuff that wasn't there or needed when it was being built. So now that it's not so built, why would they need you now? But that I feel like it's just a lifestyle, in my opinion, in the sense that the pop idol has in my opinion, a very short life, because your whole their whole mission, purpose in life is to be a celebrity. And then once they reach that celebrity status, they have to do everything they can to make it last as long as possible. And this is easier said than done, because nobody's gonna tell you when it's over. It's just gonna be over. There is no date. There is no warning sign. There's none of that. It just happens. You just wake up one day and that's it. It's over for you. And I'm speaking just from being a fan in general and seeing this happen over and over and over and over. And I could go into detail, like not detail, but when I look at Chris Brown, I feel like he enjoyed a very, very, very successful early celebrityhood, in my opinion. And I say that is because I felt like when he came out and growing up and looking at his influence on my peers, I said, wow, He might as well own the world. In my opinion, he was the first black president because, no disrespect to Barack, but I feel like he was the first black president because he had, I feel like, every youth's heart in the world, in my opinion. And to see him grow up into who he is today, I can't critique him on it, but I can definitely say that he has definitely reached his climax. You know, I remember him radio playing it, you know, me getting that what people may get from Drake songs, I got from a Chris Brown song when I was younger. That's why I feel like he was so influential. But that's just uh, a result of, me watching how a celebrity does what they do. I can't question it. All I can do is pay attention. Another celebrity who not fell off, but who reached their climax was I would say Eminem. And I say Eminem in the sense that once he started, when I hit one of his earliest works, and then I see how he used to do features with just about everybody, and then I didn't realize he reached his climax until I started seeing his newest well, not his newest, but his previous albums when he started talking about rehab and drug use, and I'm like, yeah, I could tell you definitely did something wrong because that shouldn't even be coming up in music, and no, that shit's not gonna work. But another guy, like that's just music. I'm gonna get off of music. Another guy who I feel like seeing his climax was on Wesley Snipes. Now everybody and their mom seen the Blade movies, and even those movies wasn't what everybody knew Wesley for. Wesley is an old guy, man. He been around. He like he in the Denzel Washington group. Him, Morgan Freeman, a little bit of Forrest Whitaker. Just a bunch of cats that just been known for holding it down on the entertainment side, and I feel like Wesley Snipes even climax because I used to look forward to a Wesley Snipes movie. Of course, most people did. I thought I'm not even that old, but I still enjoy watching his earliest flicks. But I feel like he reached his climax because when he started getting old, the roles that he could play didn't fit no more. A young, a young, very masculine Wesley Snipes was a very interesting actor, and this is not a flattery thing. This is a truth thing. Wesley Snipes had he was a very dynamic character in the fact that he could do action without being a Denzel Washington, but still be, just as interesting. Now, I can never say that Denzel Washington fell off because, he's just one of those characters who, one of those celebrities who I feel like he's the wisdom of the celebrity hood, one of the wise men, because he essentially took something that could never change into celebrityhood, which is personality. And I say it's his personality because you could watch any amount of Denzel Washington movies, and it's like watching the same guy over and over and over again. The only problem is you don't notice it. And the fact that you don't notice it is because he's not acting. That's just the craziness of it. But other people that fell off going back into oh man, going into How do I lose my train of thought? Oh man. Um. Okay, going to other industries. There we go. Like video games, for example. And I say video games because it's too easy. I feel like when people think about entertainment, music, movies, TV, you could go into TV, but TV is that's what you call pre-programmed stardom. And I feel like it's called pre. I feel like it is called pre. It's pre-programmed because that was one of the earliest flaws of the TVs, that you had to wait to watch whatever you was wanting to watch. You could never. They didn't have DVR and all this other stuff until the satellite and all this other stuff started coming out. And that had to get popular. And I feel like you can never say stardom is a rise and fall for TVs, because it's like what's going on. You know that at the beginning of the season, the guy is going to go in, or a woman is going to go in. They're going to do what they need to do to keep people watching. And then, depending on how they direct it, or depending on the producer's feelings, it may necessarily end abruptly, or it may just end on a unsatisfying note. So I couldn't even really do anybody justice if I talked about TV. So the easiest next thing to talk about would be video games. And in that case, I would say that a lot of companies have fell off. All of them have fell off, to be honest with you. I don't have to go into detail about that because this isn't this is about pop culture. But in order to keep the idea of the idol in mind, we'll just go into the main companies like Microsoft and Sony. Now, Microsoft fell off for a number of reasons. One is that they have decided to basically sell hardware. And I say sell hardware in the sense that they their marketing schemes and all this other stuff have not really been dependent on game sales, or those essentially access to new games or new titles or new gaming, just essentially new games that brought people in when people got the original Xbox. Like, even looking at the Xbox One, there is no Xbox One. There's the Xbox and there's the Xbox 360. And then after that, you just said, we'll just call it whatever. Because if I were to buy the Xbox One, right, and I have an original Xbox, and I'm sitting there with the Xbox One sitting next to the original Xbox, you could see how stupid I could feel as a customer to have really brought into this idea that the Xbox One is supposed to be like a poster child of new gen gaming. But I'm going too much into gaming. I'm going to focus on Bill Gates. Bill Gates has gotten very lazy. And I say he's gotten very lazy in the sense that he is supposed to be software god. And part of being software god is fielding titles and franchises that make people say, I want an Xbox. I want a Windows product. Now, give or take here, Bill Gates is, a computer company first. Microsoft is a computer company first. There is no it's not really a video game computer company. It is a computer company. And people often make that misdemeanor. People often make that mistake because, you know, they see how Microsoft has gotten into the industry and gotten used to essentially Microsoft contributing to a very bare bones industry at this point. Now, going into Sony has not even really been known as a gaming industry. They've always been known for home entertainment, like speakers, TVs, like when the PlayStation 2 could play DVDs. That's what made people buy Sony. Sony hasn't really. I feel like when Microsoft decided to market TV as the the real men for their marketing scheme, I feel like this was the beginning of the end. It was like they're basically saying they're playing people for suckers. And how this ties back into pop idols is because if you're into tech, then you understand the importance of what I would call good programming. And part of good programming is doing what you've been doing, but only better. And you know, if Sony's thing is keeping people revolved around the TV, making, you know, like, I feel like that's where Sony fell off. They stopped making things that made people want to buy a home theater, essentially. That's how Sony should have sold their stuff, as a video game console that functions as a home theater, in the sense that when I play these video games, I should feel like I'm at the movies. And another problem was that, you know, Microsoft was never known for being a Sony. Microsoft got most of their fame because they were able to, you know, give multiplayer that had meaning. People played People played on Xboxes for the multiplayer. And this goes back to the Call of Duty phenomenon that occurred back when Call of Duty used to have meaning. But I don't really mean it to go into gaming. What I'm trying to draw from all of this, for people that's not understanding what I'm trying to say from this tech stuff, is that when your pop idol decides to remain in the industry, but does things that make you feel like they're trying to retire, it can be very annoying at times, because, you know, it's like a TV series where, you know, it's like if they tried to keep Arnold Schwarzenegger, what they did with the Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, the new Terminator. They took Arnold Schwarzenegger's role as the bona fide quintessence of the Terminator and destroyed it by basically saying we're going to use his old thing to make a new movie. And that's what Sony and Microsoft have done, because they had old thing and they used it to take shortcuts. And this is like spitting on your supporters. This is like, you know, it's just terrible. It's like when you see people do this in any industry, it's unacceptable. And going back to the idea of the pop idol, it can be often annoying at times how you tend to develop a relationship with your pop idol, in the sense that you when you genuinely look up to them, when you genuinely respect them, when you genuinely imitate them, you can feel not feelings. You can definitely become sensitive to their policies. And they say that body language speaks 1,000 words. I do you one better. Actions speak libraries. And you know, when you see a pipe idol make actions that's basically telling you in your mind that they don't give two loaves or a fish about you, you know that it's like you're at you're at a point, a crossroads, because you don't want to cut off the relationship, because that's even worse to say that you're a fair weather supporter, which is you're entitled to that. It's just that if they do something eventually later that makes you come back, then you are basically saying you're not a supporter, you're more of a freeloader. And it could be when you think about the other end, where you realize that your pipe idol can put themselves in a position to essentially take advantage of the relationship, your support of them. It can be also very annoying to bother with it, because it's like basically saying that you wait for me to try, you wait for me to be genuine for you to decide to not be genuine. But at the same time, that's just part of the pop idols what you would call tragic flaw, which is basically when you reach your climax and you realize you're falling, and you do stuff in your power to try to reach a new climax, which is where most people fail. Like pop idol pop idol pop idol physics is very off, in the sense that you know you would think once you start falling there's no coming back. In theory there is. Pop idols can bounce back from a decline. It's just very very rare. It's like getting second fame or something like that. And you can't blame a pop idol if they decide to extort you as a supporter in order to get that fame back. Because if it does work, you want to be there and say that, yeah, I contributed. If it doesn't work, you should still wait for them to bow out, because the idea is that if you're really a bona fide supporter, your loyalty should not be conditional upon whether or not your pop idol is on top. Because if they was your pop idol to begin with, you should not need anything other than their participation to decide when you support them. And I feel like that's just the lesson of this pop idol culture that is pervaded. That there's a lot of fakes out there on both sides, and that just adds more smoke and mirrors to things, because people are then able to say, oh, he's a hack, or oh, why do you support that person, yada yada yada. And that's gonna be part of it. But the worst people are those who will stand with you to support somebody, and then wait till something they don't like comes up, and then turn coat, and essentially just decide to stop supporting, and then wait for the pop idol to do something good, and then we back on it again. Like, those are the worst people in the world. But I feel like this just goes into another thing about the pop idol, that the pop idol isn't determined by how many supporters they have. They are determined by how many supporters exist. And this makes a lot, because you can get anybody in the world to say that they support you, but when you have supporters that actually exist, people that put actions in for you, then those are the ones that make the difference. Because it's like it's like having a jury versus having an eyewitness. Anybody can be an eyewitness, but it takes a different type of person to be a jury. And I feel like, that's just a reality, that you may go to a concert, you may go to a support, any kind of get together of people for in the name of a pop idol. And there's gonna be people there around you that's gonna be there to basically play the role, but they ain't really there, man. They just did it. They're like what you call pop idol rejects, man. They just want to be there just to say I was there, or they just want to be there to be like, let me use this opportunity to get people to look at me and stuff. And you're not supposed to do that, man. That's bad taste, man. You're not supposed to use somebody's fame for your own. Because if you had to earn it for yourself, and then you see how hard you work to try to earn it, you wouldn't do that. You would realize that it's not as easy as the TV or the camera or the big ad on the building make it look like. But that's just a fact of just an observation of someone who avidly supports pop idols. Like, you can't I don't know. There's it's like there's a mini stardom to being to supporting stardom. But that's just the culture, man. The pop idol culture is a very it's very formal, in the sense that you should never try to identify yourself as somebody that you're not. And I feel like it becomes worse as people get the habit of becoming essentially bandwagons on purpose. Like, you gotta hate people who decide to jump idols, like, on purpose. Like, people that'll wait till one person is popular and then support the next person just as who's just as popular as the person you was supporting, but since they fell in fame, now you want to jump on the next. Like, you see what I mean? Like, you can support other people. It's just that they will always once you choose that idol, that's your idol. You get what I mean? And not to sound like a crazy fan or nothing, I don't do none of that. I don't do weird stuff to posters, or you know what I mean, stuff like that. But I can definitely say that, you know there is a thin line between idolatry and a pop idol. And once you understand that, you can understand why the pop culture is the pop idol culture is a very sensitive industry. More so that most people are concerned with getting in quickly. And I feel like that's a bad attitude. That's just a consequence of the fair weather fan. You got people who will support you so that they can imitate you and essentially steal your fame. But that's not as bad as the people who take their own route to stardom and decide um that there is a quick route there. And everybody feels like they ought to be supported as a pop idol. No one will ever feel like they could not be a pop idol. The problem starts when people start to bring damage to the name. Like, there's this cat out here named Young Thug. And I'm not critiquing him, but he's definitely harmful to the industry. And that's just my point of view. And to put things into perspective, there's another cat named Tyler, the Creator, who isn't harmful to the industry, but if you didn't follow him, you would consider him as vulgar. You would consider him as an attention, basically an attention hoe. And I feel like that attention hoe mentality is a very harmful mentality to stardom, because people don't support you because you catch their attention. People support you because you contribute something to them. And I feel like a lot of people don't get that. People will do stupid stuff on the camera. People will do stupid stuff in videos. People will do stupid stuff in general. They catch attention because they think that's stardom. Stardom is not catching people's attention. Stardom is when you contribute stuff. And, you could say, oh, well, so-and-so doesn't contribute anything and yada, yada, yada. And those are also scum of the earth, because the first person to tell you that a star isn't a star probably hasn't even done their homework. They probably haven't even, digested the works or the contributions of whoever they talking about. So, when you look at guys like, also, this guy named Little B, he's on a very thin line. I'll let him slide because Young Thug was even worse. Little B was, when he first started, he was more of a attention hoe. He couldn't, stop doing stupid stuff. And I say stupid stuff because, if I know your industry, right? And I know that what you do costs money, it costs time. Why the heck would you waste it trying to catch people's attention versus trying to make a significant product? Like, this guy wasn't even making albums, he was making borderline YouTube videos. Like prank videos. He looked more like a prank video. And that's not a critique. That's just me comparing product with product. When you know an industry well enough, you don't make critiques anymore. You juxtaposition two things. And I'm juxtaposition him with Jay-Z, who, you know, Jay-Z had his share of media, but it wasn't for attention. It was just bad coincidence, as you would say. And as you can see, it was only bad coincidence because Jay-Z is not in jail. Jay-Z has been out free as a bird, contributing year after year after year after year, with no media spectacles. Now, if we go into media spectacles, the freshest thing in memory now is the Birdman thing. But I'm like, that wasn't a media spectacle. That was a what you would call attention hoeing again. And I call it attention hoeing is because Birdman is not he's not a industry contribution anymore. His industry contribution was on a label end where he was essentially getting people's careers started. So to see him do this is just very unprofessional on his part. And I feel like he's a good way to wrap things up because, being an attention hoe that's the disease of the pop culture. When you waste people's time trying to waste people's time, it can essentially weaken the desire for a pop idol. Is this what kids gonna do nowadays? They gonna get a camera and just start doing dumb stuff just to, attract some attention, piss some people off, get some comments. Which, still has to be done correctly. Because there's another cat named 50 Frank who does this purposefully and tastefully. And in order to even, I hate to give people homework and stuff into when we so close to Friday, but I encourage you, like, if you are a pop idol culture person, to go through this and see what I'm talking about. And I can't tell you no wrong. I can only tell you not enough. This is not, like I said, this is not this is not tell you what to do radio. This is not nothing around this is not a gossip channel. This is not none of that stuff. This is facts on facts about a particular topic, and the whole purpose of it is to contribute to you knowledge. So, with that said, never pay attention to people who only give you attention. Always, always, always idolize those who pay you in contributions. And with that said, time to shout out the supporters, the most heavenly of all. Shout out to Anita Hoover. Shout out to Shamir Skinner. Shout out to my anonymous patrons 1, 2, and 3. I will see you very soon. I'm making moves I'm setting this charity stuff up now. Don't worry about it. By Saturday, everything will be up and running. I'll be in Jersey Gardens holding it down, trying to get this charity support. Support. The reason why you should support is because this charity is going to be contributing to essentially people's kids, and as well as the radio station, which will eventually contribute to everybody. So by giving to the charity, you give to the radio station, essentially get to everybody. You don't gotta contribute to the charity or the radio station, but if you contribute to either or, you do it good. If you contribute to the charity, you do a double good. I'm gonna leave that at that. Have a good day. Look forward to Friday. And that's it.